Impulse is actually pretty damn fun. You fly around, jump around, you shoot people, time to kill is not too fast or too slow. Netcode seems pretty solid. Battlefield. Overall, I've really enjoyed my time with this game so far, and I gladly recommend it to anybody still on the fence while the demo is still live. Issue is, I don't think anybody's on the fence. You see, after the demo ends on June 24th, EMPULSE will be a multiplayer PvP only shooter releasing in the year 2026 with a price tag no less. Its developer, 1047 Games, has been shooting itself in the foot for half a decade and counting. The audience they're chasing is forever bound to their existing live service games, or has disappeared into the wind completely, put off by the current state of shooters, multiplayer games, or just entertainment as a whole. So forget my perspective for a second. How about the average Joe? When looking at the store page, watching gameplay, or listening to videos just like this, what do they see? When taking a first glance at the store page, EMPULSE doesn't exactly make the best first impression. It looks to be yet another inoffensive multiplayer FPS designed by committee to piggyback off another game's popularity. That's because it is. The slight shades of dirt and grime on the game's maps feel like they were added from playtester feedback instead of being part of a core identity this game never had. Even the names of everything in this game are seemingly just ripped from a thesaurus instead of being properly thought out. The weapon names, for instance, feel like they were pulled from a word cloud generated by Copilot. Instead of Titanfall's pilots, EMPULSE has Lancers. Instead of Titans, just mechs. Now let's say that Joe Public gets past the store page, or ideally, just never sees it. This game's best chance to grab him is to have a video shuffled into their YouTube autoplay while they're doing their daily exercises or making themselves a meal, and can't just skip the video right away. They see something that might be familiar. A lot of familiar things, in fact. Wall riding, grapple slingshots, big paint bombs, mechs that tear up a squad, and game modes where you grab a bunch of balls and carry them from place to place. All things Joe recognizes from other games. Nearly 1-to-1 in some cases. And as for maps, here's Angel City, put through a blender. Dry Dock, put through a smoothie machine. And a map on the rooftop that kinda looks like... Wait, did these people actually snatch an X-Defiant map? I mean, come on. The speed boost and jump paint bombs literally have the same colors as their corresponding adhesive gels from Portal 2. Now, don't get me wrong, being this derivative can sometimes bring great results, especially if you're being derivative of things long abandoned by their original creators. It's just, normally, you're supposed to add your own original ideas on top of these elements, or perhaps some kind of massive twist. Something that 1047 is very familiar with doing. It's just, this time, they kinda didn't. But hey, look at that fast movement! That would be a problem too. Just look at this guy, who started crashing out in text chat over people moving fast in a movement shooter. It's pretty funny, sure, but a sobering reminder that the high skill ceiling of these games is a major problem for mass appeal. These games filter a lot of people, and quickly. As the majority get filtered out, the minimum skill level required to just have fun, let alone win, quickly creeps up until only the 99th percentile of the large player base remains. I've already observed this trend within this very demo, on the second day. Not great for a future free-to-play title that needs a large player base to survive. More on that later. And of course, EMPULSE has all the standard signs of a game built to break the millennial financial curse. All the standard wait timers, unskippable end screens, a UI that presents any form of progression as a battle pass tier, obnoxious fucking music that I never want to hear again, all obviously thrown in at the behest of a monetization director being paid 6 figures to copy Activision. 1047 Games basically just tossed all of these elements into a milkshake machine, put a live service cherry on top, and presented it as a new menu option in the gaming diner. The average gamer, upon seeing all of the above, will just grab vanilla or strawberry instead. Maybe cookies and cream if it's on sale. Even the most die-hard milkshake fans will just order some weird flavor like peanut butter or something. But if all of the above didn't immediately repulse you, and you boot up the game and start a match, you'll experience the slightest hint of greatness hidden past all the noise. Ignore everything I just said. This game's fucking peak, bro. I mean, come on. Like, look at this shit, right? I'm grabbing the ball. There's a guy behind me with a hammer. I use the speed paint. I run it back across the entire map. Whole team staring at me, firing at me and shit. And I toss it in with the last 4 HP I have. Or this other one, where this guy thought he was slick, right? He was just gonna run right out the team fight. Boom! Stole his shit, ran it past the mech, tossed it with my last couple HP again. And then there's this clip where I run up on this guy, but oh no, his whole team is behind him. So I somehow snake my way out by getting a kill and an assist somewhere. I don't even know what the fuck happened here, to be honest, but it was pretty damn cool to look at. And then there was this one time. The gunplay is damn near perfect. The movement's solid. The sound design is some of the best I've heard in this shooter. Yes, even the fart bomb. The level designers, free from having to accommodate for portals, have flexed their sheer talent here, providing a set of 4 maps that I haven't gotten tired of in over 10 hours of playtime. The Hyperburst LMG is a weapon I wish I could just rip away from the sinking ship and use in a different game. When Impulse is firing on all cylinders, it'll keep you hooked for hours. And of course, all of this is counterbalanced by that asterisk. Within this fun gameplay loop, there are many signs that the eye of Blizzard was applied to its balancing. The mechs especially suffer from this philosophy. Just 2 can be active on the map at any given time, basically being power weapons that are just strong enough to give anyone a 4 to 5 kill streak, but not strong enough to really change the game all that much. They're just pickups that you don't feel any attachment to, that you're not invested in, that have no progression of their own. You just walk around with a machine gun that's weaker than your SMG, a Halo bubble shield, and a rocket launcher that you can barely tell you fired until it hits something. By comparison, Titanfall's Titans were endlessly customizable 20-foot-tall galactic warriors that made you feel like a god of war. And with Titanfall 2, Respawn effectively made an entire separate game out of the Titans and plopped that one on top of the movement shooter they already had. Not that it's reasonable to expect something of that scale from 1047's first try, but Jesus, Impulse's mechs are so underbaked they can be deleted from the game and nobody would notice. Just look at this fight here, where we stare at each other with our shields up until theirs expires and gives me a free kill. Does that look fun to you? Some of the weapons are also clearly out of place in the movement shooter, such as the SMG that fires slow frag rounds with minimal splash damage, or the suppressor clone with similar damage and projectile speed as its Halo counterpart, in a game 5 times as fast. Not that I'm complaining. And of course, that goddamn hammer. It's essentially Titanfall's bullshit lock-on melee with teleportation abilities that would make an Eldar blush. The devs have already promised to nerf this thing into the ground when the demo's over, but this is a major issue for the game to have when exposed to the largest audience it'll ever get. Overall, despite the game's issues, 1047 are still clearly punching far above their weight, as they always have, and most of the issues under that asterisk can be fixed with time. Time they simply don't have. It's time to take a closer look at 1047 games. For those unaware of 1047, their track record is quite damning. Basically, they run their games like Hi-Rez does. Splitgate took the gaming world by storm during the pandemic, with all the surrounding AAA competition having taken themselves out of the market entirely. What did 1047 do in response? Simple. Abandoned ship in just over a year. They took $100 million in venture capital money, said, "Don't worry guys, we'll be back with the milk in a couple years," and left their existing game with a devoted audience to rot. About 3 years later, 1047 launches Splitgate 2, an inoffensive multiplayer FPS designed by committee to piggyback off another game's popularity. You know, the game they already had. As the game was already receiving major backlash over turning Splitgate into a hero shooter with loadouts, the trust fund CEO decided to walk into Summer Games Fest with a parody MAGA hat and announced their brand new, innovative COD killer, a Battle Royale mode, in 2025. Both actions repelled half the intended audience each, and the game flopped immediately. 1047 tries desperately to tread above water. Mass layoffs occur. Splitgate 1 barely dodges a complete shutdown with a miracle peer-to-peer patch. Splitgate 2 was sent back to beta, eventually relaunching without most of the hero shooter stuff. It bombs again, as every bridge had been truly burned by then. No amount of cope about the player count of a PvP-only multiplayer game not mattering could save it. So, when I see that 1047 plans to launch Impulse as a $20 early access title on the 24th, following the free demo period, I see a company that needs your money up front to make their next payroll. They promise all of these future updates, all these content drops. They promise the game will have no microtransactions during early access. They promise an eventual free-to-play launch in the future that will make early adoption worth it. I call bullshit. With no remaining investors to con out of their money, they're coming for us instead. Don't make their mistake. You don't have $100 million to lose. Impulse seems like a last desperate play at live service success with the remaining quarter of investor money at the bottom of the Doritos bag. 1047 can't afford another bag either, as interest rates were much higher than they were in 2021 and only rising. For all we know, this game's release can serve purely as a vehicle for the devs to add all their hard work onto their personal portfolios and resumes before it's too late. Another cynical product being pushed out to die, destined to join the ever-growing list of obituaries and case studies in 6 months' time. And that fucking sucks! Cause in a vacuum, right? Impulse seems like a great game that's just a few steps away from perfection. The shooting's on point, the movement's fast, flashing, and borderline addicting. Take a step back, however, and there's just this impending sense of doom surrounding the entire project and the people making it. In order for 1047 to survive, and therefore, in order for your game to be playable, they probably want Impulse to reach 300,000 concurrent players on day 1 and make $50 million a year in a niche FPS subgenre that will only provide a tenth of those numbers at most, even if it launched as a fully complete free-to-play title with better marketing tomorrow. A $20 early access game with a demo that peaked at 4,300 players? Maybe 1,000 of those numbers. Most of you are very familiar with what tends to happen next. So why even bother?